He's back. He's back, and inevitably,
Back.
so Danny's back in the podcast. Kansas City Chiefs are back in the Super Bowl. So are the Philadelphia Eagles. But it's almost like, how do I say this? Like, not the inevitable, but it's like the I saw Jared sent to me today the Brock Lesnar Roman Reigns rematch, but for football terms, but ironically in the same stadium again.
Yeah, that's fair. But I will say this, Mr. Bryce, I was hitting a little harder today at the gym. I got a little extra pump to that one today. That was good. Let's go Chiefs. I'm sorry, Buffalo. Just couldn't get it done again.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like that's like the perspective of like where you and I stand. Where it's like, oh, no one wants to see Kansas City, but for you and I, with that AFC bias, we're just like, you know what? Hey, gonna get the job done, Buffalo. But in all seriousness with them, like, I don't think you can put any blame on that game towards Josh. I know, look, he made that last throw and stuff like that, but he didn't have any other choices. Literally, right before Danny came on, I saw the video where it was like the catch that Kincaid could have made was not like, you can't tell the act like an actual person, hey, go try to do that yourself, because you're not. But at the end of the day, look,
at the end of the day, Kincaid is not special. He's just an ordinary tight end that didn't come up for his team, and you got to make those plays in those moments. Like Julian Edelman unfortunately did that one year, but so that's how the cookie crumbles, man.
Yeah, and the other thing too is just the one play I never understood from them was the 3rd and goal where they were like, oh, we're gonna throw a screen to Keon Coleman with Trent McDuffie, an All-Pro corner on a rookie in the end zone. I'm like, okay, guys, like the math's not mathing here. Like, what are you doing? Like, and the scariest part about this Kansas City win is not even the fact that Patrick, didn't have to be Patrick. Like, he still had a great game. Don't get me wrong, but you know what I mean. Like, he wasn't like put the team on his back, go out there and do the thing. It was, hey, I'm going to do enough to get us there. Defense, and I trust the defense enough to hold the fort down, and that's exactly why I think in 13 days we're going to get the same thing again.
What you think? You think you're taking the Chiefs early here? Little announcement.
No. Official announcement's going to come probably on the Super Bowl show, probably next Wednesday or Thursday. I got to figure out when I'm recording that, but it's just for right now. I look at the same logic where when it comes to playoff football, it's about winning moments. And what better team is winning moments than the Chiefs? So for right now, I'm leaning towards it. But like, look, we got a long way to go. We got to see who's going to be healthy, because Philadelphia's got 2 linemen that are really banged up right now, and Juergens and Dickerson, both not 100%. We'll see if Brandon Graham comes back for them. But then also too with Kansas City, not that there's injuries there, but it's so much more now of like, because I said this going into the game that I'm like, look, Travis Kelce wasn't going to be Kelce again. He had 2 catches, 19 yards. Basically the kid in the group project who didn't know work but got an A. But then it's like he doesn't do anything. But then you had Hollywood Brown make plays. Juju Smith-Schuster, for the love of God, was a key contributor. Xavier Worthy had a great game, which I don't like that whole narrative of like Buffalo didn't want me, that's why they traded back. No, Kansas City wanted you more than Buffalo wanted you. That's why they made the call to move up. It's the same thing they did with Mahomes. So I didn't bite that narrative, but but here's the other thing too. The fact that the running game's going, the fact that Patrick ran 2 in, even though I need him to throw 2, and that, look, Travis didn't have to be Travis either. That's where I'm saying it's just like you prepare for the inevitable, but at the same time too, you've got a Philly team with a defense that's not going to be afraid to play them. And that's the biggest key to Kansas City. You can't be afraid to play them. Every team who's played them, they seem like look at Houston last week. Houston, they just didn't capitalize on big moments. And then with Buffalo, it was just they escaped from their game plan. It was like, hey, James Cook's working for us all game long. It's like in baseball when, like, pitcher's on a heater, he's going into the 6th, 7th inning, and then the bullpen just like, hey, time to go, get the new guy in, and the bullpen just crumbles under pressure. That's exactly what happened yesterday.
So a little red flag I saw about yesterday was usually the Chiefs are dominant against the run, and James Cook was ripping runs off on them, and I think he only got like 11 carries or something like that, 11 or 13, something like that. Like they didn't run the ball nearly enough because they were just moving the ball, on the ground. So if they don't have that cleaned up in 2 weeks, what Saquon's gonna do to them that's the X factor right there, man.
13 rushes for 85 yards. Allen had 11 for 39, and then Tyron Johnson had 6. Well, ironically, we're both watching wrestling right now. It's the W in the title, and Tyron Johnson had the Rey Mysterio 6 for 19. And then the other thing too, then now when you go to Philly, and I don't want to take anything from Washington, but that was just the game of the moment was too big for one team.
Of course, but Saquon showed in this all year that any team can't stop him. You know what I mean? So if they allow him to be Saquon, I mean, he did get banged up yesterday in that game, and I don't think he looked right after that injury. I know they showed him on the bike and stuff, and like flexing his Achilles. So if that's a real injury right there, that could be a big thing for them. But I don't like if Hurts has to. He's not gonna have a performance he did 2 years ago in the Super Bowl where he just like was dotting all over the place and shit like that. I don't see the game going like that again.
No, I don't see the game going like that either. I see it as of right now. I see you have Saquon, you have the other players as well. But here's the thing too: Joe Mixon also had a really good game against the Kansas City Chiefs. Just to throw that in there. So I think if you can keep Saquon at around 100 to 110, 120, which sounds insane to say. Eagles over $120, $130. I think the Eagles are winning the game, but it's going to depend on the injuries. It's going to depend on everything else.
Well, it really depends on how they limit his explosive runs because he's been house calling every game almost. You know what I mean? So dude, if it's 25 carries for 120, that's a really good game. But if he's gushing shit,
dude, that first run yesterday, I was just like, oh, so the Eagles are winning this game. Like that first run where he's just like he finds those holes.
And this motherfucker, Dan Quinn pissed me off so much, bro, on that first drive. Like, you go for it 2 or 3 times on 4th down, and then it's 4th and 2, knowing you need 7 points to beat the Eagles, and you just finally settle for the field goal. Like, what are you doing, man?
You also had the ball for like almost 7.5 minutes, too, where it's just like, okay, what are we doing in this stance? What are we like? That's where I'm saying, like, the moment was too big for him. It's just like
the short conventional stuff worked all game. Ertz had like 11 catches. Ertz was open the whole game. It's Jaden. He just missed so many throws, man. I don't know if it was the nerves or what it was, but and then the game was out of reach by the time they started really getting rolling. But yeah.
And then someone posted the photo that they were like the 2007 Cleveland Cavaliers with like LeBron when they got swept by San Antonio, and I was just like, okay, that's pretty valid. That's pretty legit. There's a lot of rappers at the show tonight.
Little baby, little baby.
I love the fact that like for once it's like both on even speed, because obviously it's both on Netflix, but I know sometimes with football it's like one play waiting to happen, then another play to.
Who the hell? Didn't this guy like win like a Grammy or something? And I still have no idea who the hell he is.
Was it that dude that wasn't he like arrested right after he won a Grammy?
I think so. Yeah, I still have no idea who the hell he is.
I just thought he was wearing a Prize Picks hat at first because he had the blue and the P on. I was just like, who's this?
Forgive me, Markeem, if you're somehow watching, and you probably should be like, how do you not know who Killer Mike is?
Yeah. And I don't know what's going on right now. It's a good time to be a wrestling fan too. But we're going to shift gears right now because why? We have some coaching hires to discuss, and I have a take for you. Okay. I know you said that insanity is the death, basically doing the same thing over and over again. I kind of like how the Jets stuck with what they did before because think about it. Todd Bowles was fired. We're going to go the opposite route. We're going to hire an offensive coach, Adam Gase. And then it's, hey, Adam Gase doesn't work. We're going to go back to defense and hire Robert Saleh. Robert Saleh doesn't work. So then you go out and look. Could it be Ben Johnson? Could it be this guy? Could it be that guy? They interviewed over 30 people. I think Tannenbaum was getting paid per interview, or the 33rd team was.
Fucking scam search.
I like the fact that Aaron Glenn I saw a little bit of the thing where it was like, hey, what about Aaron Rodgers? And it's like, I'm going to give you the same answer again. Like, I feel like not so much competency, but I feel like there's just more of accountability with a New York Jets head coach. Like, where it's no nonsense, no nonchalant. Like, I don't know what next year's going to be right now. I still think with Rodgers, I've been hearing a lot of this and I agree with it. I think he's waiting for someone to make the first move and say like, oh, the Jets don't want me. So that, he can be like the boy who cried wolf and say, oh, they didn't want me. Now I can go on this revenge tour and like show them I was wrong. He's waiting for them to call him first. He doesn't want to be the one to call them first. It's like your high school relationship where it's like, oh, do I message them? No. You got to wait for her to message you, bro. But all in all, with Aaron Glenn, look, because think about it. If you guys have gone offensive again and then it doesn't work out and then it's back to defensive again. So now you have, and also here's the other thing too with Aaron Glenn. He wanted to go there. That's the big thing. He was drafted from there. He played there. So I'm not saying, I don't know what the Jets are going to be next year. It's still hard to gauge, but when you look at it right now, you and I could be competing for second and third place in our division next year.
All right. So first of all, I haven't even been on the show since God knows when, sometime this September.
Week 3, 2024.
Yeah, it's been a while. And this was the most disgusted season of football I've watched in quite some time. And I've been a Jet fan, so everything has been shitty. But when you finally have expectations and you go watch a season like that and you just have egg all over your face, you're just like so turned off to the sport now and the team. And I just have a deep hatred for the team right now. Obviously, you just said it. I was against the hire. The last 6 Super Bowl coaches have all been from the offensive side of the ball. It's clear that you need an offensive coach, I feel, in today's game to go far. But I will say this. I listened to the press conference today, and I was starting to buy in. I was starting to buy in a little bit because I really feel like he wanted this job, like he said. I really feel like he's authentic. Like he doesn't come off as a Robert Saleh. Like I don't know if you saw the clip or not, but they were like shoving shit down his throat about Aaron Rodgers, and he just straight up told the New York media, like, "Listen, guys, you're not going to get what you want out of me. Like that's not how I operate." And he's just, like he has a backbone, he has a spine. He's not going to just, pass you over. So I was very impressed with what I heard today. Seemed like a legit guy, but the Jets do not earn the benefit of my doubt right now. I don't hate it as much as I hated it last Wednesday when they hired him. But let's see. I hope I'm wrong. Let's just go with that. I hope I'm wrong. The roster is still very talented, man. I don't think this is come in and you're taking over a 2-win team. Everyone knows the Jets should have won more than 5 games. So, I mean, if we have what really matters is who's coming in, the offensive coordinator. That's what's going to really matter here. And obviously the Rodgers decision. Now, spinning back to Aaron Rodgers, do I want him back? No, absolutely not. Do I think he's going to come back? Yes, I do. I think you look across the league, if you're Aaron Rodgers and you're like, where can I really go? Who's going to really, give me a good situation better than one I'm in right now? And you maybe look at the Raiders, the Titans. Would you rather be there or would you rather stay in New York and try to run it back? I think he's going to want to try to run it back. I think he's going to want to be like, I have business to finish here. I know I can get Devontae back and I'll have him on my team as well. So, I mean, we'll see. Hopefully he comes to a decision before the Super Bowl because I don't want this shit to linger out at all. But if he is back, my expectations won't be there at all.
I think
he looked done.
It was mentally checked out, but I think though the guys like the Alan Lazards and some of the other guys, those are the ones where you gotta have to tell him like, hey, you can't get the whole band back together. Like we know you like your guys, but you have to be.
He's not gonna have any kind of control like he did last year. Absolutely not.
And no. You want that. You want that. You understand. Look, Aaron, you're a legend of the game. You're someone who's revered and respected, but at the same time, too, you're so polarizing to where there's a good section of people who just can't stand you out there, and you want to avoid that. You want to mend fences, but at the same time, too, you guys need to know. Hell, I would even say within the next week or two, because I don't know if that would happen. I feel like by the combine, worst case scenario, like by the end of February, that's when it's like, because when they head to Indianapolis and they have to start saying like, hey, what quarterbacks are out there, or who would we want to draft? Because, like, look, it's not the greatest quarterback class, but there's still going to be some guys that emerge. There's going to be some guys at the combine who show out and impress apart from Cam and Shador. There's also Jackson Dart. There's going to be other guys who come up out of nowhere. Like, look at the Senior Bowl this week, too. There's going to be talent to be had. It's just, I feel like whenever a draft's not an elite draft, it's always viewed as like, oh, these guys all aren't going to pan out to be anything. When ironically,
you got to really search and find, a guy down in the rough here.
I know he had a bad year, but look at Brock Purdy.
Yep. But anyways, like if Rodgers wants to come back, he cannot, and I think the Jets are thinking this too. Like he can't come back at the number he's playing on right now. It's just no way, shape, or form he can come back at that number and have us operate, and field a quality team, other than what we have. So I think they need to rework the contract for sure. And Devontae's obviously going to want to come back on a discount. He can't get paid big bucks anymore. And you got to go from there. You run it back for 1 year, and hopefully you get a guy in the second round for a quarterback, and you cross your fingers.
Yeah, that you know what? That's it. Because
you cross your fingers.
Yeah, but because here's the thing right now too. When I say our division was second and third, and I say that half jokingly, but also half serious, because when you look at the teams now, I know they just lost, but Buffalo's not going to be going anywhere. We all know they're going to still do their thing in the regular season. It's just really the playoffs now when they're judged. I feel like their fan base still sees it as like, we're happy to be here, when in reality, no, it should not be just we're happy to get in and win the division. They treat the division titles. You got to treat those as just like a hat and a shirt and just move on.
Yep.
Then you've got you guys where I don't know about the offensive side of the ball yet, but defensive side of the football, if you guys keep teams into low scoring and just shoot them out, like Aaron Glenn can have those capabilities to where he can unlock tap potential. Like for example, guys like Sauce, where he's having a down year. I know you're not exactly excited about him because he's been on Twitch and social media a little bit more than he should be on the field, but now that's the question. Yeah. So, that's the thing now. Like, I don't think you could trade him if you wanted to, but I don't know if you do.
They won't trade him.
That's the thing. You won't, because it's just, if he goes somewhere and he does well, it just looks bad on your organization. So try to get the most out of those guys as you can, because with Sauce, then if you don't pick up the 5th-year option, the next year he can just leave in free agency. And then you have, getting to my boys, look, we haven't spoken since, but year one, it was just, I was pretty clear on it, where I was just like, look, this ain't going to work out. I like how, I said this numerous times on here, but not to you. It didn't work out. Kraft owned up to it, held solid accountability, and now we're assembling a hell of a competent coaching staff, and I'm thankful for that. New hires today: Doug Marrone going to work with the offensive line, and then former Bears head coach Thomas Brown going to be, I think, pass game coordinator and tight ends coach. So there's a lot of potential there with our teams now, where it's like, look, and one of our guests from last week, Kyrie Thompson, said this best. It's basically putting your black Air Force punch them in the mouth style football coming from 3 of the teams, not the Miami Dolphins. So we'll have to see where, what our little friend Kid is on his Dolphins. But for right now, they're the biggest question marks in the division, just because, look, you guys have your new coach and you're trying to figure out your offense. We have our wonderful, solid diamond in the rough in Drake May. Not even diamond in the rough, but you know what I mean. And then the Dolphins, we have our lottery ticket in Drake May. That's a perfect word for not diamond. I don't know why. I think because you said diamond in the rough, I went for diamond, and I went there for some reason.
I got it.
Yeah, like with New England next year, like I'm not coming out here being like, we're going to make the playoffs, we're not going to do this. But if they can be a team like, what Arizona did this year, where it's like, hey, you're in it, but then you kind of you fizzle out, or you get off to a slow start, and then towards the end of the season you heat up to where then 26, like this time next year, everyone's kind of going, hey, look for New England. Drake may take the 3rd-year leap, etc. But then Miami's just in this big puddle of, I don't know. It's a mess. It's not fun.
You got the Tyreek Hill dilemma.
I honestly think you move on from him if you're the Dolphins.
You have to. The guy's completely has no respect for that coach or that organization. So I don't see how you keep him, especially while he still has value. Teams will still go up one for Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, there's going to be a team out there that's desperate for a weapon that's going to do that. But I still think for him, his whole season went downhill once he had that whole incident with the police. I don't want
to week one.
Literally week one. He had that. He had a game there. But then ever since that one game, he was kind of up and down. But then also too, they really shot themselves in the foot by giving Chris Greer and Mike McDaniel contract extensions before the season started. They should have waited until after, because not having a random family shows up on Monday Night Raw. Unless this is
I was looking at that too. Who is that?
Oh, it's probably E. Or it's
that's his family?
It's a little Yachty.
Kofi's mom?
Oh,
no, it's Wood's family.
Oh, it's Wood's family. I saw the guy in the red hat for a second. I was like, is that a little Yachty? But yeah, you know what I mean with Miami, where it's just like, look, if you're Miami for next year, you have to have a competent backup quarterback plan. You can't just go into the season being like, yeah, we're going to expect Tua to be healthy. Look, if Tua makes it through the year healthy, great. But at the same time, too, with his history, you have to have a plan B. Just have to.
I mean, I'm rooting on their downfall every day.
Well, I know we
on their downfall every single day, man.
One other thing I want to go back to with just in our division and everything, with the Bills too. There's one thing with them that I really need them to address, because their secondary play was atrocious last night. Once Christian Benford went out, Kyler Nealon was getting cooked. DeMar Hamlin, for as great of a story as he is, he had that one play where Patrick Mahomes was running it in, and he just goes for the punch out, where I'm like, my dude, I understand you're trying to make a play. You got to tackle him. You got to go for the tackle. Even if you tackle him into the end zone, he still gets a touchdown. At least it's the whole. It's like the Bart Simpson. At least you tried cake gif.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I look for more. Everyone's saying with Buffalo too. It's like, and also the Amari Cooper deal really backfired on them. He really did.
He just never got going there. I mean, he looked slow as fuck yesterday too, though. Like, I don't know if you were like paying attention to how he was running, but he just looked like he was running with Tim's on.
Hey, yo. Oh, there's the beautiful thing about everything. And also right now too, I'm going to say something as well. I want to ask you, Do we think, regardless if they three-peat or not, do we think like I'm starting to think about this and put in the light? I'm starting to think Travis is on the way out.
Travi,
Yeah,
if he wins this year,
if win or lose,
really? I could see it, bro. How old is he now? 36.
he's going to be 36 at the start of next year.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that for sure. I think they're get their three, and then even Andy Reid maybe, man. We'll see.
I don't think that one's going to be a thing. I think that's more of a
It's
he's
hard to
going to
leave when
go.
you're on top, though. It is hard to leave when you're on top.
Exactly. Unless they were to like, hey, he wins this year and then next year it's like four. Like, say if they were to win 2 weeks and then they win next year and then it's four in a row, then I think he rides off into the sunset because he can just like hold that mantra of like, hey, I've got 4 Super Bowls in a row. I've got 4 Super Bowls in a row. He has got five Super Bowls total.
Mm-hmm.
It's only second to Belichick for coaching, which I think Belichick's most Super Bowls of all time. The big question too, I saw heard on a podcast today is Pro Football Talks was does Patrick eventually get to that stage? I don't think so personally. I still think he has that killer instinct. My thing with Patrick is, and I don't know if you go through this because folks, Danny's 30, I'm 31. When you turn 30, your body starts to feel a little different. My knees been hurt.
I've been getting a little bit more hurt than I used to.
Yeah, it's like well, I mean, if you have a fun night out, it's a little longer to recover.
That too for sure.
You do that, obviously, like he's got 3 kids and you and I combined have 0 kids, but you know what I mean with Patrick, where it's like, hey, he's for every chip he wins, he makes a kid. What can I say?
Does he have 3 now? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, he had 1 born over the bye week. It's like bronze, silver. It's like I think it's just like gold, silver, bronze. I think it's sterling though. But the thing I was thinking about with him too, though, is, and I've always been saying this: what is he after he turns 30? Because I know for everyone right now saying, "Oh, you just hate him, you hate him." I don't hate him. It's just quarterbacks have to learn to adapt as they get older.
Well, the thing is, he's shown he can play in the pocket. I know he has escapability, but I wouldn't call him a mobile quarterback.
Yeah, that's the thing. Because if Kelsey does retire, I'm not saying you have to replace Kelsey directly at tight end. I think you can throw anyone in there, but I do think you have to get him an X factor at wide receiver, like a true, like a not a killer, but you need someone who can just go downfield and just rip it. Because did you see that yak stat with him?
With who? With Kelsey?
With Pat, it was like 245 out of his 245 yards. I think 230 were yak
last night.
Yeah,
no, I didn't see that. That's crazy.
There's that, and I have another one for you that dating back to 1972, NFL teams that have scored 4 touchdowns and have committed 0 turnovers in the playoff game are 85-6. Buffalo is 2 of those 6 losses.
Yeah, listen, I know the Jets have a curse on their franchise. I think Buffalo has a bigger curse on their franchise, honest to God.
I just look, I don't know what it is, because the thing is, even yesterday, Josh didn't play bad. I know he had some questionable stuff where it was like, man, I can't look away when Jey Uso comes on the TV. The man's just electric. And
with the Migos.
Yeah, with Quavo.
Oh, Quavo, just Quavo.
Yeah, I don't know what Offset's really doing anymore. Obviously,
he's got to light the blunt like Travis Scott did. He's got to, man. Come on.
Either that or Triple H just looked at him and said, "Do not do it."
He got the smoking skull. I'm weak.
Oh my God. I'll be there in about a month's time on March 1st at the Rogers Center for Chamber. I'm excited for that. But
that's funny.
Dude, the product's on fire right now. You gotta love it. But no, the thing with Buffalo is just I eventually I look at this and I say, because I know Bill's people, even yesterday I listened to some of the podcasts, listened to Greg's for a bit, Joe Miller's as well.
I tried to look for Greg's, but I couldn't find his Twitter. I forgot his last name.
Oh, okay. But he basically, Greg's was very, just like, yeah, it happens.
They were numb? Wow.
It was not even numb, but it was just like, I think it was like like obviously how like they say the 4 stages of grief or whatever, where there's like denial, acceptance. I think most Bills fans are at the part where it was like accepting right away, where it was just, this is gonna be a tough pill to swallow. It sucks. But I think there was a lot of Bills fans too, where they didn't want to point blame at anyone. There's like, they don't want to like fully admit where it was like, yeah, we played bad. we didn't make the plays in the moments because here's the other thing with the Bills too, and we knew this going into the playoffs. The D line, there's no one on that defensive line like the Chiefs have that scare you. Like Chris Jones, bad motherfucker. Ed Oliver's good, but you know what I mean?
Good.
He's not like
elite. He's not elite.
You don't like, cause like, you know, you look at like some of these D linemen too, where it's like Chris Jones, TJ Watt, Trey Hendrickson, Max Crosby, Aiden Hutchinson. I'll even throw Dexter Lawrence's name in there because I still think if he hadn't gotten hurt,
Dex is an absolute fucking monster.
Dex probably would have been nominated for DPOY, or probably even would have won it had he not gotten hurt in that game right around Thanksgiving.
Yeah, he had an insane season.
But Buffalo needs a guy like that. I know everyone says Buffalo. It's like you need a playmaker, you need an X factor, you need like to go and do like what the Ravens did, what the Eagles did. No, they need defensive football players. I think you take from the Kansas City model and learn, hey, if we can have an offense that's competent enough with players, we don't need you guys to be all pros. We just need you guys to be serviceable and manageable.
Well, they still need to replace him. They don't have an alpha either, man. They really, I mean, I know Josh like tried his best with like Shakir and Keon Coleman and stuff, but I feel like they do need that alpha receiver that they don't have. They tried it with Cooper, but it just never, you know, Cooper's past his prime now.
Hollins is good, but he's not that guy.
He's literally what Gabe Vincent was for them in the Buffalo and the playoffs that year.
Except he's just a little bit weirder and just wears some very interesting
super weird dude. Super weird dude.
Dude, they posted a photo of, you know how he arrived last week in the beachwear?
The Cancun, yeah, I saw that.
Someone posted that. Mark Bill's arriving to Cancun.
I'm here for the Bill shots, man.
When did that become a thing though? The whole like, you know,
he's been doing that. This year he does.
No, the Cancun on 3 stuff. You know, when when NBA and NFL someone gets eliminated, where it's like
it started with the NBA for sure. I've been seeing it for years. I don't know exactly when, but it's definitely been popular for years.
Yeah. I know also we've been talking to just about all our teams. We're kind of bouncing off the walls and all this stuff right now. Before I get into anything else, I was just going to quickly say we had some more head coaching hires. Obviously, the Saints don't care to hire a head coach right now, clearly. One hire that's kind of grown on me, I don't know why, is Pete Carroll in Vegas. Like, I don't think it's going to be anything.
Really?
It's not going to be remarkable. They need a culture. They need, you know, someone who's going to build a culture. It's not like, hey, we expect you to win. We expect you to do X, Y, and Z. How long has this Jey Uso thing been going on for?
I don't get why he brought back in Bevel to be his offensive coordinator when he's fired him twice already. That's crazy to me.
I think it's just go with what you know. / I don't think anyone else wanted the job.
That's just not. I mean, who wouldn't want a Vegas job though? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I know their quarterback situation isn't there, but you know, they have some talent. They definitely have talent.
They got 2 really good tight ends.
So if you know, if like you said, if Pete can build back up that culture, and then like have a successor come in and they eventually land their quarterback, that's a good sign. But if they're running it back with Russ next year, I'm gonna be they're gonna be the clown show of the league next year.
Oh yeah. I understand there's that whole they mended fences and everything like that. No, don't do that, because you saw basically what Pittsburgh did towards the end of the year. And did you watch any of the Hard Knocks, the AFC North?
Nope.
Dude, some of it's just I'm looking at this guy. I'm like, what are you doing, Russ?
Oh, he's cringy.
It's just like the same old.
Yeah.
It's not to the extent of what he was with the Broncos, but it's just this whole like, you know, hey guys, we can do this, where it's just like nobody likes
the motivator.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm doing workouts on the airplane and like doing like the hip stuff.
Oh my God.
But yeah, no, I think Pete Carroll's just like, hey, coach it for 2 seasons, get 3 seasons out of him, and then, you know, we'll bring in the next guy to take over, but we want you to establish the culture. I had the first true I feel old moment when Ben Johnson decided to hire a 28-year-old to run the offense. I don't know if you saw that.
What was that?
Ben Johnson's new OC that doesn't even have a Wikipedia profile, who's 28 years old.
To me, Ben Johnson's I see Adam Gase all over this guy, bro, and that's a crazy take. But I think everyone's just he's a slam dunk hire, and I don't think it's going to be like that.
Here's my thing with it. I think the Bears can be good because obviously they can't go get any worse. It's one of those situations.
Of course.
I just don't think with the NFC of what it is and their own division, because like, look, Detroit and Minnesota are going to regress, but that's just a given. Basically, what they did this year is the equivalent of what, you know, Judge did with 62. Like, you know, when Judge hit 62, you're like the next year, he's not going to hit.
Of course not.
He's not going to do that again. So even if the Lions go, let's say 13-4, 12-5,
Mm-hmm.
Vikings 10-7, 11-6, maybe even 9-8, Packers still in that same realm too. You're really telling me that Chicago Bears are going to win double-digit games?
No.
The only way I see that is if one of those three teams really takes a step back. And I know everyone likes to look at Minnesota and be like, Minnesota. I don't see that happening with the Vikings, no matter who's at the helm.
The Lions had an absolutely elite offensive line and an elite running game, and Chicago doesn't have anywhere close to that.
Nope. They have weapons. They just didn't know how to use them.
And Caleb Williams is this guy literally reminds me of Justin Fields. Like I don't like he can make a throw here and there, but the overall package of him, like I just don't think he's that good, man. Like he's definitely not generational like people were saying. And I've said this take from the beginning. So he's got to win me over, and I'm definitely a doubter of his.
But too, if they sign some guys in free agency, if they beef up the offensive line, everyone's going to be on them. Like last year, you had this team, you had Bears people and media people going like, hey, best case scenario for this team, they're going to win and they're going to go to the Super Bowl. I'm like, are you guys? I had them at like 8-9 or 9-8 going into the year. I didn't have them winning 5 games, but still, you're really telling me this team's going to go from 5 wins to like 11 or 12? That does not happen overnight. I still like, I want to see what Ben Johnson does, but I'm not fully convinced of it. And then we'll just have to wait and see because, it's going to be everyone thinking it's going to be Detroit right away. What Detroit did was great when Detroit struggled for the first 2 years of Ben Johnson. So we'll have to see where that goes. And then look, the next head coach hire, Liam Cohen today, Duval,
and I wanted him too, man. I did want him. I'm not even going to lie. I wanted either him, Joe Brady, or Cliff Kingsbury. Those are my top 3 guys I wanted.
I don't think Cliff ever wants to be a head coach, by the way. I think he's fine just chilling and being an OC.
I think he needs the perfect scenario after everything that happened. He wasn't a bad head coach. It's just Kyler sucks, and he got hurt, and just it didn't work.
He was basically in that situation where it was just Steve Wilkes was a bad manager. Michael Bidwell just handed out way too much money to guys. And the Cardinals had that one season where they overachieved, and then they regressed terribly. Now they're starting to work their way back up, but I really need to see it from them in 2025. I need to see them make a serious push. Even if they just miss out on the playoffs, I need to see them, win at least 8 games next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, look, Marvin Harrison Jr., there's people on here being like, oh, he's a bust. I'm like, no, he's not. He's a rookie that you guys put unrealistic expectations on. You did the same shit. You saw
what Brian Thomas and Malik Neighbors did, so that's why he's getting compared to that.
Oh, I know, but I'm saying people did the same shit with Bijan, and Bijan was misused terribly, and now Bijan looks like that guy in Atlanta. He looks like that dude. But you're right. Malik Neighbors, even with a bad quarterback situation, balled out, to which everyone's putting like, what if you put Neighbors and Hunter on the same team? And I'm like, cool, they'll look good, but they'll win 3 games. And then Brian Thomas Jr., he's wide receiver 1 in Jacksonville. I know they paid Gabe Davis. I know they paid Christian Kirk.
He's going to be disgusting next year. I can't wait to draft him in fantasy.
Me too.
I'll take him early. Listen, I'm very curious to see where he's ranked next year. Because if it's anything lower than the second or lower than the 3rd round, I'm going to pull the trigger in the 2nd round.
If you had to pick first overall for fantasy football right now, who would you take
next year?
Yeah,
gotta be Saquon.
I'd probably go Bijan just because everyone's going to be going Saquon, and it's like Christian. I'm not saying it's going to do what Christian McCaffrey does. It's just I could be wrong. I think the top 3 right now would probably have to be like Bijan, Saquon, and then one of Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson. I think it's just that's how it goes because even with Chase missing camp, he still had a great. That is little Yachty sitting next to Woods' parents.
And McCaffrey's still going to find a way to be top 10, and someone's going to get a steal on him at number 10.
Oh, yeah.
My
best take with fantasy football this year was still do not draft Travis Kelce in fantasy, and I think that panned out pretty well.
Yeah.
But yeah, the fantasy football is a very interesting one, and there's a lot of time to evaluate it. I just I think Bijan could pop next year. That's why I'm very big on him. Where like next year he truly takes off to where he's like, oh, he's like he shows he's that dude. That's what I was saying with Marvin Harrison too. Marvin Harrison probably will drop, and because everyone's going to go out, after Brian Thomas and all these other players, to where next year could be the year for Marvin as well. Because, and I still say this, I know, like, look, you and I talk all the time about the TT Higgins of the Patriots thing. Arizona's got money to spend this offseason, and I think if you
the Chargers get him. I think the Chargers desperately need him. Desperately.
Chargers, like that's the thing too. You have the Commanders, the Patriots, the Chargers, and the Cardinals, all with at least $70 million to spend. I think the Raiders are right around there too, but unless they do some serious movement, I don't see anything extreme from them when it comes to making moves for next season to really catapult up the Raiders. Raiders have to show me that they're ready to do that.
But they're one of those teams that will go out and give Christian Wilkins, the bag,
Yeah.
where it just, it doesn't make sense to do that for your current team. But that's why they're the Raiders.
They'll basically do it because they have the money to do it.
Yeah, they have to spend the money somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the only other head coaching hire, I'm going to say this right now. I know everyone gets on the Cowboys for the Brian Schottenheimer hire. I'm not here to say it's a bad hire. I just don't buy it in the sense of why do you do it, and the fact that you knew that it was going to get negative reaction when you posted it at 9:30 on a Friday night, where it's like, oh, hey, yeah, we're doing this, by the way. Like, it's always great to see like a guy like that get a head coaching job, but at the same time too, they kind of knew where it was like, look, and I know Dallas is going to Dallas, but they're still
it literally just reminds me of who's that guy who came into the Texans for a year and they fired him? Yeah, Cully. Literally reminds like they can easily fire him next year, no problem. Like, he's a short-term solution, and obviously he's probably not going to perform to like maybe they're a playoff team, but I doubt it. And I think it's just them waiting on either Dion or Belichick. Or one of they have a future move that they can't make right now, basically.
Yeah,
that's how I see it.
They basically, and also too, I know Dion's buyout, I think it's like $90 million or something, because how those college buyouts are insane.
Wow, I didn't know that.
That's the other thing too. Like, if they were to go get him, it'd be like I'm gonna look up the actual number, but I remember people saying where it's like, so I don't know why, but I just got a Game Time notification, found Super Bowl tickets. I'm like, I'm not looking at that shit.
You got 10K?
Yeah, no. I actually did look at it briefly, and like you can get lower bowl for 6, but still for me after conversion and everything like that, that's like no thank you.
Wow, 6K for lower bowl these years. Where is it? Oh, it's in NOLA, yeah.
It's in NOLA. Okay, so here's the thing actually. I was wrong. So the buyout was original. I thought it was. I think I mixed up because remember Jimbo Fisher got bought out from Texas A&M and it was like $75 million. And Coach O had the same thing where he's like, okay, which way do I go not to coach? Turns out Sanders' buyout, it was $15 million. It's only $8 million right now. But if Jerry waited until Mike McCarthy's contract ran out to basically get rid of him, he's going to do the same thing with Dion, where he'll wait until he doesn't have to pay a single thing to do that. So I think it's, like I said, next year it'll be in the cycle, and then that's when I think he can truly pull the trigger with Dion.
Mm-hmm.
And then what's the next coach? And then besides that, like
the Saints are going to get a horrible candidate too, because apparently no one wants that job, which I don't blame them.
The Saints,
they'll be in the driver's seat for Manning next year.
I have a take with the NFC South. I think that I'm not sitting here to saying they're good. I think Carolina starts to take that like, hey, they're not this bad team anymore.
Right. Listen, good for Bryce. Good for Bryce, man. Like, he balled out at the end of the year. So if he can carry that momentum into next year, win 8 games, that'll be cool. I'm rooting for the kid.
I don't even think he has to win 8. If they can go 7-10, I still think that's a success for that team. And also say this too, Dave Canales is the right guy to lead them because look, this year you heard nothing from David Tepper.
Mm-hmm.
He basically said, hey, we're going to put the right people in charge. We're going to do the right thing and go from there. Because when you look at the NFC South, I don't know what Tampa's going to be. I don't know what Atlanta's going to be. New Orleans is just that team, and they're on my list next year because the Patriots do go there. So I know WrestleMania 42 is the rumor, but to go see the Patriots play in Foxborough in New Orleans would be pretty cool as well. I know so it's you and I both going there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that'd be a road city I'd like to go to because the only other option I saw was cool, maybe Tampa, but I don't know. But the Saints really are in this no man's land where I know Greg likes to come on here and say the Caps credit card spending, but eventually you got to pay that credit card bill. And I think that time's coming for the Saints.
The bill's due. The bill is due. Just be bad, have a bad head coach, trade Kamara, get whatever you can for all your, older veterans that still have value like you did with Lattimore, and, build this shit back up.
There's certain guys, too, who I do think are – I think there's the DeMario Davises and the Cam Jordans. I don't think they're tradable. I think those are retire.
Yeah. You could probably get like a 5th or whatever if they really still want to play, but, nothing crazy.
And then, Alvin Kamara. The only question is – and then I think Chris Olave is someone you have to keep to kind of build the franchise around. Because
Olave is more so – I would say. I mean, are you going to pay that? I don't think the guy's going to be worth $20 million when his contract's due after this year, though. He hasn't shown that, but
yeah, because like this year too, like they could go wide receiver in the draft, like because they've become kind of the Ohio State of the South. Like I would like an Emeka Ibuka or like what's his name, Luther Borden, the guy from Missouri,
Yeah.
like someone like that to go there. Like they don't need to go out and get this like because with wide receivers, there's not really I don't want to say alpha, but there's not really a guy who's like hey, the Marvin Harrison Jr. hype, like the even your guy Garrett Wilson too, like there's not a guy or Jamar Chase, etc. There's not a guy.
What are you thinking of the McMillan guy? I heard he's getting like a lot of Drake London comps.
Tet McMillan, my bad. Besides Tet McMillan, like you know what I mean? Like there's not a lot of guys who are like, I think they're bona fide wide receiver ones coming out of school. That's what I mean. They can get there. Because like look at JSN too. I think it's kind of like that route, where it's like rookie year they're going to be a little low, and then the second year they take off. It's like DK's getting traded.
Yeah, they got to trade DK.
I think that's just like
that might be the Patriots' next receiver. Honestly,
believe me, there's a lot of Patriots fans, and there's some beat reporters too who are kind of banging that drum. I am as well.
I could see that. I could see that scenario happening now.
Yeah, because the way I look at the draft, and I know there's that whole report about Abdul Carter
shuts him down, by the way, but beside the point. I said Sauce Gardner shuts him down, but we're not going to go there now.
We can talk about that in the fall, but because with the whole, I'm going to say this because I used this to me, the whole Abdul Carter going one thing. I know Daniel Jeremiah's first mock draft had him doing that. I just think that's more of a smokescreen to get teams to trade up. Like remember when the Bears traded up with San Francisco to go get Mitch when they could have gone him at 3? And we knew Lynch fleeced them. I think they're trying to get a team to coerce a team into doing that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Abdul Carter's been my crush for a couple months now, and now the cat's out of the bag after his playoff performance, and I'm like, damn, he's not getting to 7 now. So that was my guy. But when they talk about generational talent, I literally see Micah Parsons in that kid. So I would not be, I wouldn't be mad at them if they took him number 1 overall, because he's gonna have a fucking great career.
He wouldn't either be like, look, and I know you're saying this too, like with the Patriots, where it's like, oh, they could go. Even if they get offensive line in the second round, because early in the second round, you can still get great offensive linemen. But that's why I'm in the same boat with Abdul Carter, where it's, hey, you have a chance to get a guy who could just be a dog and be an absolute baller and go out there and do his thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you go for the Abdul Carter. Because for me, it's like there's Abdul, like if I had to pick 4 guys I would want, it'd be him, Tet McMillan, Will Campbell, Kelvin Banks.
I will say this about our new GM, Mr. Moogie. Mm-hmm. Every new GM who's came in for the last 3 years, their first pick was an inside defensive lineman. So if you take Mason Graham, brother, you're just like the rest of them, and I'm not in your corner anymore. Cannot be Mason Graham. That's his name, right?
Yeah, that's the guy, because he was the guy that I was kind of crushing on going in, like going in earlier this year, just because look, we had the situation with Christian Paul. For the Patriots even too, because it's not just like, oh, we know offensive line's a huge need. But so is defensive line, so is linebackers, so is players in the secondary. They need a complementary piece to go along to Christian Gonzalez. They need wide receivers, even running back. The only sure thing is right now is quarterback. Besides that, like New England needs a little bit of everything. That's why I think coaching is going to help, and having the money will help. But at the same time, too, they could go anywhere in the draft. I just know with our fans, there's going to be fans that are going to be happy, and there's going to be fans going to be like, "What the hell is this? Like, what's going on?"
So, do you think 1, 2, and 3 is going to go Cam, Travis, Shedeur?
I think I honestly wouldn't be shocked to see Cam, Shedeur, and then Jackson Dart from Ole Miss.
Number 3?
Dude, I'm telling you, GMs
I
do
don't
stupid.
Know if he's gonna rise like that.
Dude, look at Michael Penix. Look at Michael Penix.
I don't see that.
I don't know if it's gonna happen either, but it's just look. You're gonna get a stupid GM, General Shane, because look, because here's the thing though, because if Cleveland goes quarterback, and that's Shedeur goes to Cleveland, even though I still don't think they're gonna do that whole like Eli Manning, John Elway-esque power play move. The Sanders people are. No, if you do that, you're gonna exile yourself from the league.
Yeah,
you say you're gonna do that, you're not doing that in today's NFL. I know Deion's Deion, you're not pulling that shit. But because I think Cam goes to Tennessee, and then if Shedeur goes to Cleveland, or here's the other thing too that Cleveland I think does, they go Travis at 2, and then they get Will Howard at 33.
I don't know who's Will Howard.
The Ohio State.
I'm not 100% on the draft game right now.
He's the quarterback from Ohio State.
Oh yeah, I did hear about it. Okay.
Yeah, you get him in the second round, and then Shedeur goes to the New York Giants.
Okay, maybe.
That's what happens, and then Because even look at last year's draft. There's a lot of good defenders out there, but there's a reason why. And I say this with Jackson Dart too, because every year there's always those unexpected risers. There's always those guys that like look the
I
average.
know Zach Wilson. I know
Zach Wilson,
I
Michael
know.
Penix. And I'm not saying Zach Wilson to throw shade at you. I'm just saying, like, look, every
No,
draft.
it happens every year. People
Joe
fall in love
Burrow.
with, you know. At the end of the day, though, you can't get tricked by these qualities, and you gotta look at game tape, man. Film is never gonna lie to you.
Michael Penix, though, I think is the odd man out in that exception because Michael Penix
He had good film. He had good film.
Turns out it's a great insurance policy for the Falcons.
Yeah.
Turned out it was a great insurance policy.
And I called that Kirk Cousins, robbery, but whatever.
I mean,
he might go to the Raiders, honestly, now that I think about that.
I don't know, because from the way it sounds, I heard some stuff from Rodney Harrison that was they've set up shop in Georgia. I don't think they want to move. I still think there's an honest chance that unless he's cut, that he stays a Falcon and he kind of just does his thing. Because look at him, he's the guy that doesn't want to work on Tuesdays. You saw quarterback.
Yeah, I mean he it's hard to come back. You saw Rodgers, you saw him. You can't come back from those Achilles as you're older in the year. You know what I mean? It's hard.
That's why I think if he's there, because I know it's a lot of money, but if he's there with number 2 with Atlanta, that's not exactly the worst number 2 quarterback to have in the world instead of going out there and
one for sure. I mean, they don't save money, right, by cutting him.
No, it's like 90 minutes.
It's a crazy cap hit.
That's where I think I was getting it mixed up with.
It's stressed out.
Yeah, let's see here. Okay, that was the Dayball one.
So they're low-key in a Deshaun Watson situation then.
So here's the one. Kirk Cousins expected to be released by the Falcons before $10 million bonus due on March 17th. So
if they don't got to pay that $10 million, they don't got to pay the $10 million. That saves them something.
It does save them something, but the dead cap hit is where this really comes into play. I really wish the NFL had like a. Oh, here's the thing. I love how Google now has the AI overview. If the Atlanta Falcons released quarterback Kirk Cousins before the start of the 2025 season, they would face a dead cap hit of $65 million.
But I wonder if they can stretch that out.
This is due to Cousins' $27 million base salary and $37 million in remaining proration. If Cousins is released by the Falcons before March 16th, the Falcons would face $65 million. If Cousins is released after June 1st, the dead cap hit would be spread out over 25 and 26, with $40 million in 25 and then 25 and 26. So I do think if he is cut, it's June 1st. They're not going to. A team like Atlanta, who they know they need to make the playoffs as soon as possible, you're not going to eat a $65 million cap hit like that. Mm-hmm. Denver did it because we all thought Denver was going to be a bad team this year. We didn't think, and look, you and I owe Bo Nix apologies, but with Atlanta, a team competing, you're basically telling the league and your fans, we're taking the season off. We're not going to be competitive. We can't go sign anyone. We got to eat 65 mil. No, they're not doing that. They'll do it 40 because I know 40 is still 40, but 40 is a lot more stomachable, saving that $25 million over a course of 1 year.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's just the big thing with that one. Like there's a lot to go on there. And I say the stupid thing with the Giants too, just because look, I know it is easy pickings, and I know right now there's all this stuff with like, oh, Barkley would have done this on the Giants, but the point is, it's just when you have a special talent like that, you just can't let that go.
Listen, we all, unless you're an NFC East fan, we all thank the Giants for allowing us to see a generational Saquon Barkley that they drafted. Listen, I saw Revis go and win a ring with the Patriots.
Yeah.
And, he came back, but, it hurts. It hurts. It does hurt. And a lot of them won't admit it, but that shit hurts.
I wonder how Chargers fans feel right now with Drew Tranquill about to get 2, and he's just barking at fans online today.
I don't know, man.
He just dipped from the. Also, so with the national championship, you saw Jack Sawyer last week, right? The linebacker for Ohio State.
Yeah.
Are you ready for Kansas City letting it Bolton walk, and then he just steps right into a spot and becomes an elite linebacker in the league for them?
That's what elite teams do, man. I wouldn't be surprised.
Because they have to pay Trent McDuffie, who's great. They have to pay George Karlaftis, who I'm not going to say underrated. I think he's underappreciated for what he's
so good. Doing. He's really good. He's really, really good.
Isn't it also messed up to think that draft class from 2022 doesn't know how to lose in the playoffs?
Yeah.
Think about that. They've competed they're like almost let's see. They've played 2 playoff games this year. They've played 3. They're 9-0 career in the playoffs. George Karlaftis, Trent McDuffie, Leo Chanel.
When McDuffie got burned by Matt Collins yesterday, my jaw dropped because I did not expect that at all. One-on-one coverage on a DPI call too. Still caught it.
Yeah. The one thing going on yesterday was with Patriots Twitter was the Patriots almost, I think a lot of people thought they were going to draft Kyler Elam. My thing was more or less now being, I feel worse for the fact that they traded back with Kansas City so Kansas City could get Trent McDuffie and not draft. I would have rather, I felt worse doing that than drafting Kyler Elam because look, at the end of the day, Kyler Elam was this guy where it was like, he's reading his playbook, he's doing this, and it's just no. When your first round corner is a backup, that's a red flag.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And there's a ton, like this is probably the most talented corner class or corner pool of NFL talent I've seen in some time. Like there's so many talented corners these days.
Yeah, your guy Sauce, best in the league right now, resides in Denver, PS2.
So good.
My boy Gonzo.
Stingley, Jay Gonzo. Yeah, man.
Yeah, Gonzo, Stingley.
Jalen Johnson on the Bears is so good. I'm such a fan of him.
Lassiter as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a ton of good corners this year in the NFL right now. The Eagles have 2 now out of nowhere.
And they got that white boy Cooper DeJean.
Yeah, he's holding it down for us, man. White boys can play corner too.
They got him and Reed Blankenship just running shit back there.
Yeah, man.
One matchup though, just before we wrap about the Super Bowl, I'm still so intrigued to see is how the hell does that Eagles offensive line contain Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, and even if Brandon Graham comes back?
Listen, if you look at the Eagles over the playoffs, the way they've been getting hurt is tight end. So Kelsey has to have a fucking epic Kelsey day.
Yeah.
For them to move the ball. Because the Eagles shut shit down the field for sure. You saw yesterday with the receivers of the Commanders. So the middle of the field is how you beat the Eagles.
I'm just trying to see right now. Travis Kelce, because Travis Kelce in the he had in the Super Bowl 57, he had 6 receptions, 81 yards, 1 tutty, and his longest was 22.
Yeah.
The second best receiver was Juju, who had 7 for 53. Man, his longest was 14. Jalen Hurts in that game was insane. 103 quarterback rating, but Patty Mahomes, 21 for 27, 3 touchdowns, and a 131.8 quarterback rating.
Just getting the ball efficiently out, that's and not turning it over. That's the key to the game, man.
I had the same take with yesterday's game that I'm going to have right now with this one. I don't know. I still don't know who I'm going to take. I think it's either Kansas City squeaks another close one out by like 3 or 4 points because I think you saw Patrick Mahomes when he's a 3 or less, he's like, I think he's 8-0 in the playoffs against the spread. But it's either that or the Chiefs win by 7 or 10, because it's that you got to put them away because if you let them linger,
I think it comes down to the final possession for sure.
Yeah.
Something that's a little worried for me though is I don't know if Pacheco's not right. He's not Pacheco. I don't think he recovered from that broken leg. And Hunt looks like he can get the tough yards, but you just don't have that explosive back, that they really kind of need.
Yeah, because we know that because here's the thing with the matchup. We know there's DBs on both sides that can shut down both sets of receivers.
Mm-hmm.
I love your tight end take, honestly, because Dallas Goedert has been really good this playoffs. Travis Kelce, he had the one game where he popped, but then yesterday the Bills defense, like he was blanketed.
That's who they stood. Yep, they knew.
But here's the thing too: Vic Fangio loves to run a lot of man zone defense, and he kind of won't get away from his game plan that way. So he's got to draw some funky shit up, I think, in order to razzle and just confuse Mahomes. But we're gonna wait to see what happens. But I will say this too, and this has nothing to do with where I stand as a football fan, but three-peat can happen, and Patrick Mahomes could lose this game, and you can still just just appreciate. I don't want to be that whole what Nate Burleson did yesterday, that really weird speech where it's like, I don't understand the hate, just appreciate what you're watching. I'm just gonna say this right now. Every chapter of the NFL has their great quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
You had Montana, Bradshaw, Aikman, even though I still think Troy Aikman's kind of overrated in his stats. If you look at this deep stats, and then you had Tom, and then now you have Patrick. Just appreciate what you're watching. That's all I want people to say. Like how I write is like Patrick can go in 3 in a row, but you don't have to go saying like go. I feel like with NBA and NFL, it's all about like, who's the greatest, who's this. You don't see it in baseball. You don't see it, you especially don't see it in hockey for obvious reasons. But because like with baseball right now, if you were to say greatest of all time, there's like what 10 to 15 to 20 guys who could be in that discussion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can go Bonds, Babe Ruth. It's just so many.
Yeah, exactly, and then there's a handful of guys who.
I will say this though: early Super Bowl prop that you want to lock in now that I really love.
Travis Kelce proposes
over 2.5 players to throw a pass on DraftKings is plus 250. That's a good one. That's a really, really good one.
And folks, fun shout out for my friend Andy McNamara, as he hosts Sick Podcast. If you use his code SICKSPORTS when signing up for DraftKings, you can make $5 and get up to 200. A bet just $5, $250 in instant deposit bets back. So use that for your Super Bowl because, like Danny, I'll be using DraftKings for the Super Bowl as well. It's a great place to bet with all the best lines and combos. But you know what? I like that odds. I also like the one I keep saying too is a goof joke is Travis Kelce to propose because last year I thought it was stupid.
Oh my God.
But there's one this year where I'm like, yo, if they win, he's going to do it and then he's going to retire. And, the next day when everyone, like all those entertainment outlets, like the Super Bowl was great, but, Travis and Taylor are getting married. And here's a bunch of commercials that were great, because if
the cameras are going to follow them on their honeymoon.
Oh my God.
It's a fucking $100 million deal to film that fucking series.
No, Kai Cenat's on Raw.
Oh my God. I Show Smeed's going to be there this Saturday. Like, what the hell, man?
Yeah, that guy Mark complaining online.
Now. Oh, Big Daddy Mark.
Yeah. I love how he complains and he apologizes. And I'm like, yo, Triple H sent the black SUVs to your house, didn't he?
Oh my God.
But no, I say the marriage one is a joke, but the one I'm still trying to figure out is what song Kendrick comes out to first, and if it's not, and I remember I said Not Like Us, and someone's like, you really think he's gonna call Drake a pedophile at the Super Bowl? And I'm like, hell yeah, he's going to.
Absolutely.
There's gonna be people out there that go like, did you just say pedophile? It's like, well, there's people out there who's not gonna know what he's talking about because if people don't listen to Kendrick, but
yeah,
I don't know if he opens with that song first, but it's going to be something.
Yeah, it's gonna be a halftime show for sure.
Oh yeah, New Orleans is gonna be fun. It's gonna be a good time. There's a lot going on. The next 2 weeks are a lot of fun. So just buckle up, enjoy the ride. Super Bowl season is in the air because you know what? After this, and that's the thing too. I'm gonna say this right now. I know it's the Super Bowl matchup. No one wanted to see, and I made the Brock Lesnar Roman Reigns joke. Watch the Super Bowl because in about 3 weeks from now, 4 weeks from now, you're going to be begging for football. So just shut up and appreciate.
I need a long break. I need a long break. I've been so checked out this year, man. I'm good.
I appreciate the break a little bit too, just because like, look, I have this Sunday. My wife is like, "There's no football on, so like we're gonna do shit around the house." I was just like, "Okay,
yeah."
So I'm in that boat now. But no, when I say that, I just mean because. What? No, not. Dude, I'm at that point in my life where like every friend, or anytime I see a friend, it's always like, "Yeah, we're pregnant," or "Oh, we're pregnant," or "Oh, she's expecting," and I'm just like, I'm not ready for that shit yet. But no, when I say the whole thing with football, it's just because you know how like by March or April, there's people out there being like, "Wow, I could really watch a Titans Jags Thursday night football game right now." That's why I say with the Super Bowl, like, don't take it for granted.
I'm good, brother. Give me that long break, and hopefully I'll be hyped in September. But when you go through a season I just went through, I'm good.
He's good. I'm good. You're good. Folks, that's episode 343 in the bag. We got a lot more coming up. There's going to be at least 3 to 4 shows, maybe 5 within the next 2 weeks. So buckle up because the Super Bowl is right around the corner.
Brother. Good luck, brother.
That's what I do. Good night, everyone.
It was fun.